All right, one take here. Here we go. I'm not messing around. I should have been home from work 6 hours ago. Today, we are making an Aussie steak sandwich. Patrick turned me on to this from Patty Joe Cooking. You all know who he is. If you don't, this is his channel. Make sure to check it out. And make sure you subscribe to this channel too, by the way, and hit that thumbs up button for me. It'll really help me out, especially with the algorithm. So Patrick put out 2 videos on the Aussie Steak Sandwich. The first one, he went and got one from a fish and chip shop, I guess that's where they have them. And there was no beet on it, or beetroot as they call it. A beet is a root, so I don't get it, but there was no beet on it. And everybody in the comments was saying there's no beet on it. So he went out, he looked for another one, could not find beet on it. Why, Australia? Why is there no beet on an Aussie steak sandwich if there's supposed to be? I want to know. I've never had one of these things, so we're going to make it with the beet, and we're going to find out if it's good. Maybe it sucks, and that's why they don't have the beet on it, but we're going to find out. We're not using the canned shit here. Maybe that's why they don't have it on there, because people don't like it that way. So what he explained to me is that for an Aussie steak sandwich, with the lot is what they call it. With the lot is kind of like saying with everything, or with the works here in America, wherever you go, it's with everything. So that consists of a few things. Toast. He said plain, ordinary white bread. I looked online and it said sourdough, but he said no sourdough. He said white bread, so we got white bread. Lettuce, sliced tomato, onions, gotta be grilled onions. Beet or beetroot is essential. Something called dead horse sauce. He said it's like a ketchup, but I cannot, in good faith, put ketchup on a steak. We'll get to that. We'll get to the dead horse sauce. Cheese, bacon, and I almost forgot, a fried egg. And I think that's everything. Now see, for a steak sandwich, what I'm sure they probably do is take a cheap cut of steak and then they probably pound it out so that it gets tenderized, because I don't think they're going to use an expensive cut, and that's a shame. We're not going to use cheap steak today. We're going to go with the good stuff. We've got ribeye. On a ribeye, there is something called the cap. The cap is the most tender part of the ribeye, and in my opinion, it's probably the best cut on an entire cow. So we are only using the cap. I've got 2 ribeyes. These are prime. I did not want to get prime, but all the regular choice cuts, they had no cap on them. Very, very little. So I had to go with the really good stuff. But that's okay. It'll only make it better. So with all that said, let's do this. Okay, so start by prepping the beet. It's very easy to do. After washing it really well, cut the ends off and you can either wrap it in foil or get a small Corningware like I have here and put it in. I like to add some oil to coat it. Don't ask me why, I just feel like I should do that. It gets a lid and into a 350 oven for about 2 hours for a beet this size. When it's soft but not squishy, I'm going to wrap it up in foil to hold the moisture in. When it's cool enough to handle, peel off the skin. I honestly just eat it with the skin on, and I'm not dead yet, but to make it look nicer, I removed it. Oh yeah, and beets will stain everything, including under your fingernails, so wear gloves. Just remember to wait until you are about to use it before slicing, otherwise it will dry out and wrinkle up on you. Look at how beautiful those slices of beets look. The stuff in the can cannot even compare to cooking them fresh. Time for the dead horse sauce. I was told that typically they use something like ketchup, and I also heard that people use barbecue sauce. So I thought that I'd just make my own version here, which is more like a dressing, but it's really good, so start with an egg. I added a bit of horseradish for some bite, and some ketchup. Salt and pepper, of course. This all acts as a base to emulsify the oil that I will slowly drizzle in. You might remember this technique from my homemade mayo video. Whisk it well as you drizzle in the oil. When it's as thick as you want, taste it. This needed a little bit more horseradish and ketchup. Then at the end, for a smoky flavor, I added just a touch of liquid smoke. And that's my version of dead horse sauce. The rest of the prep is pretty straightforward. Slice some bread, which will be toasted off. Slice up a tomato. Shred up some iceberg. Online recipes call for butter lettuce, but I was told that only iceberg is acceptable. Now, I didn't show me cooking the bacon, but I had cooked off a couple strips of bacon to use. Make sure to have that on standby. I sliced the onion nice and thick into rounds here because they're going to go on the grill. And the star of the show, the steak. These are ribeyes, and they are prime grade. Since I'm using the cap here for this, a lesser quality would be fine, but these expensive cuts had the best caps on them. Buy a t-shirt from my online store to support the channel since I'm now broke after this video. Notice how small the eye of these steaks are. This is what you want when you buy a ribeye. The smallest eye possible with the largest cap. Good marbling. As you can see, this is the main part of the cap. The larger the cap, the better the steak in my opinion, and I'll fight to defend that opinion. So anyways, salt and pepper only. There's lots of stuff going in the sandwich, so I wanted to make sure I could taste the beef, so I didn't use garlic powder or anything else. Time to cook. Hot grill. Onions go on. I wanted them to hold together in the disc shape, so just flip them once or twice and get some good char on them. With the steaks, I go for rare to mid-rare. Meat on. Lid closed and wait for 2 minutes. Then turn them 45 degrees and go for another 2 minutes with the lid closed. Then flip them and repeat the same process. Yes, it happens fast with ribeyes. If you want them more cooked than mid-rare, then I'm sorry for your taste buds. Now let's build this thing. Patrick from Patty Joe Cooking and Tazdaz. This is to you guys out in Australia. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. If that sandwich looks good to you, let me tell you, it is awesome. Really, really awesome. It's really good with the beets. Oh man. No beet, it's like having a Philly cheesesteak without cheese in it. Why? As far as I'm concerned, the beet is what makes it the sandwich. After having it, So tender. They need to make this in restaurants here in America. I just want to say how awesome this was. The beets with the steak and egg had a very pleasing flavor and was so amazing with everything else going on in the sandwich. This is by far one of the best steak sandwiches I've ever had. I've never been to Australia, but if I ever do get to visit there, I will have to make sure to go and teach those fish and chip shops how it's done. Big shout out to Patrick and to Tazdaz, both great channels from Australia. I'll leave links in the description box. Make sure you're subscribed here and follow me on Instagram. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you all on the next video.